Star Trek Strange New Worlds, Episode 8, Season 1, Episode 8. Only 2 more after this. This one's called The Elysian Kingdom. Now, I thought, when I saw, like, a trailer for it, I thought, I'm not going to enjoy this episode. But I really did. I really enjoyed it, and it could actually be my favourite episode of the season so far. Because I don't usually enjoy these sorts of episodes, but we'll get into that. We shall get into that. Hey, where have I put it? There we go. So, obviously, we start off with the Star Trek MCU logo. Right, they do a recap. We see Hemmer and, and all that. Right, so, anyway, there we go. And we see Dr. Mabenga and his daughter. Oh, what do they call her? What do they call her? I can never remember. I can never remember. Does it say here? It doesn't say. I can't remember her name. Do you know what? I'm going to have to do the IMDb, aren't I? What was it? Elysian. I forgot. Kingdom. Think about that, wasn't it? IMDb. See if that finds it. Yeah, it does. There we go. There we go. Right. What? Rukia, that's it. Rukia, that's her name. Played by Sage Arindel. Right. Oh, where were we? Oh, crikey. Right. Anyway, so he's reading to his daughter again, and he's reading from a book. Oh, there we go. That's there we see the Enterprise, and it's he's given his personal log, and it's stardate 2-3 whatever. The stardates are all over the place in this. I don't understand how they're working them out. They're going backwards and forwards, and I don't know. I know they did that in the original series. Maybe they're just carrying on the tradition. And in Next Generation, they kind of solidified stardates, didn't they? But I think in the original series, they didn't really have any meaning as such, did they? And they just made them up. Anyway, so he's reading to his daughter, his Dr. Mabenga. There we go. There he is. She doesn't want to go back in the buffer. She wants him to read to her. So he reads the this book that's like a fantasy book. Far off land was the beautiful kingdom of Elysian. Within its borders ruled 3 monarchs. To the south ruled wicked Queen Neve, whose frozen heart governed with an iron fist. In the lush eastern kingdom ruled Princess Thalia, whose kind heart was forever with her people. And the other kingdom was somebody else. That's Queen Neve. So obviously this story is going to have some importance to the episode. So he's reading to his daughter anyway. Meanwhile, the Enterprise is actually on a mapping mission of a nebula. I can't think of it a name. The something or other nebula, and it's pretty routine. So that's why he's spending some time with his daughter because he's not busy. So anyway, she likes this story, and she says, she wished a couple of the characters who never meet in the story would team up and beat the evil queen. That's probably her saying that there. And he says, but that doesn't happen. But she says she wants it to happen. But he says, well, whatever. So anyway, so he's got to put her back in because apparently she's not got much time left now. Every time he takes her out of the transporter buffer, he's basically shortening her life expectancy because she's got this disease. Don't ask me what it is, but she's got this disease and it's slowly killing her. But it's progressing each time he brings her out. and he's not found a cure. Anyway, he puts her back in, and he carries on with his research, and he does some mixing of chemicals and stuff, and it goes wrong. It blows up in his face, and a force field goes round it. So he's a bit fed up. Number one comes in, and she asks him. Remember, she knows about his daughter. I don't know how many of the other crew know. I presume the captain knows, but number one knows that he keeps his daughter in the transporter buffer, and he's trying to find a cure for her disease. Obviously, the people from a few episodes ago didn't help, did they? They said that they were going to help because they had super ace medical technology, but obviously they're no closer. And she's going to die anyway, soon, apparently, if he doesn't find a cure. So he's not very happy at the moment. Anyway, so she says, I'm sure you'll work something out or whatever. She orders him to get some rest, because she went there to ask him, why is such and such a crew not being cleared for duty, and he'd forgot. And she orders him to get some rest. So, pardon me. So that's what he does. He heading back to his quarters. Meanwhile, on the bridge, the finished mapping the nebula, so they can do something else now. So Pike orders Ortegas to get him out of there. She says, "You're going to say it," and he says, "Hit it," and she hits it, but nothing happens. The Enterprise doesn't go to warp, and I think the impulse, he calls them impulse thrusters, they don't work either. So the Enterprise is stuck at this nebula. I think it's actually in the nebula, I think, but anyway, so something happens. The ship gets rocked about for some reason. I can't remember why. And Ortegas gets injured because she stands up for some reason. Why are these people standing up all the time when the ships are rocking about? But she stands up and she falls over as the ship is rocked, and she gets a head injury. So he calls Dr. M'Benga to the bridge. So he heads to the bridge. Obviously, he's super tired. He heads to the bridge. And then when he arrives at the bridge, by the way, on his way there, a weird thing happened. Something went blah, and when he gets to the bridge, they're all dressed in weird clothes. The bridge looks the same, but there's like drapes and stuff, and people are dressed in weird clothes. And they don't seem to realise that they're on the bridge of the Enterprise, and the captain's become this goofy bloke who's a coward. But very funny. And he's the king, is M'Benga. I can't remember the name of the king, but he's the king of this land. And he don't know what's going on. He says, what the hell? And then we cut to credits. And I do like watching the credits, because I like the theme as well. Anyway, Ortegas is... She's the king's bodyguard. She's sworn her life to the king. He is he's like a diplomat, but he's a coward. But it's very amusing. Anyway, supposedly this Queen Neve wants the Mercury Stone. It's supposed to be a weapon, and she wants it to rule over the kingdom of Elysian. And he says it's in his quarters or whatever. So he says he's to go to his quarters to get a magical device. He wants a tricorder, basically. I thought this were all going to be in his head, but apparently it's not. It's not in his head. It's actually happening. They're all in. Only he, by the way, so far, only he is still Dr. M'Benga. Only he realises, things have changed. Everybody else is in character. Here's Christine Chappell, looking super sexy, I must admit. She's like a healer, They'd call her a witch in the olden days, but looks very, very nice. But he gets this anyway, and he scans and he sees that all the dopamine levels are all elevated, which means that a lot of brain activity is going on. Meanwhile, Laan arrives as the princess. Is it Princess Thalia? And she comes in with a puppy, and she's hilarious. I found it really funny. And oh god, she's not drunk, but she's really funny. She puts on, like she's like a posh rich person with a toy puppy, and she's just really funny, out of character for Laan. And she even sings later on, but it's funny singing. She's asking, is her dopamine levels high? And apparently, yes, they are for all of them. Anyway, so they've got to go. I can't remember where they've got to go. They've got to go somewhere. Oh, and they encounter oh, what's his name now? Hemmer. He's being taken away by the Crimson Guard, who are Queen Neves, or Nevs, whatever. Soldiers, and they're dragging him away. He's supposed to be like a wizard called Castor. But apparently he realises he is still Hemmer, so there's just him and Dr. Mabenga who are still aware of their true natures. Everybody else thinks they're in this story. Oh, right, by the way, it's the story he was reading to his daughter that's being acted out in real life, and it comes to the conclusion that the nebula is an entity, and it's scanned his brain, and it's taken the story that was reading to his daughter, taken that from his memories, and it's recreated it. But it comes to that conclusion a bit later. So they decide that they go and rescue Castor, but they come across Pollux, who's another wizard, who is obviously Spock. But he's evil, and he smiles. But he's working for Queen Nev. But they don't know that yet, and he says he'll take them to wherever they're supposed to be going. It's through some deadly marsh. I don't want to get a marsh on the Enterprise, but never mind. But he says he'll take them there, but it's all a trap, and he takes them to Queen Nev. As we will see, there we go. And it's Uhura's Queen Nev, looking very chesty in queenly robes. But I'm not complaining. Anyway, she's the baddie. You might have noticed we haven't seen number 1 yet, but don't worry, she's coming. She's coming. Anyway, so they're going to throw the others in the dungeon. There they are. But it's a transporter pad. But obviously it's now a dungeon. I thought they'd end up in the brig, but no. But luckily, they're in the transporter thing, which means Hemmer can do something in a bit. So they're having a chat that they realise that they're the only ones that know what's going on, so to speak, as in they retain their own memories. Hemmer has got it's some engineering. It's like a laser cutter or something. He cuts open the door so they can escape. He says it's a magical thing for the others, but it's a laser cutter. But this is a good Hemmer episode, by the way. I enjoyed it. Right, the Crimson Guard appear along with Spock, and Ortegas has an enjoyable little fight with them. They'll just stand watching. Obviously, nobody gets killed. It's a sword fight, but nobody gets run through. Thank goodness. Nobody gets seriously hurt. Thankfully. In this fantasy. Well, I don't think they do, because some of them get shot with arrows by number 1, who is, I can't remember the name of the character, but she's a huntress, and it seems that she's in some sort of relationship with Ortegas, or the characters are. Because remember, the daughter wanted these two characters to team up, but they never did in the book, and that gives Mabenga a clue as to what's going on, because yes, it's not him it's not his mind that the minute princessy. It's not his mind that the nebula read. It was his daughter's, and so they head back to the sick bay, and he finds that his daughter is no longer in the transporter buffer, so they have to go looking for her. So he thinks she'll be in his quarters. So they head for his quarters, but they get stopped by, Queen Nev and her baddies. But Hemmer saves the day, and he uses this magical device he's got called... There we go. And he hams it up. Oh, for crying out loud, I'm hopeless. He hams it up. When you're ready, there we go. And he to make him disappear. Tries to say some magic words, and he opens it up and presses a button, but he'd rigged it so that it. I've missed it, haven't I? He'd rigged it so it transported them away. There we go. Presses the button and transports them away. He said he sent them to a cargo bay or something. That's what he did. So anyway, he seems very pleased with himself there, and it was funny. Anyway, so they go into his quarters, and his daughter's there. Rukia is there, and apparently the entity, the nebular entity, has been in contact with her, and they've been playing, and it does a scan, does Dr. Mabenga, and it seems she's being cured of her illness, but it turns out Hemmer allows the entity to speak through him. Remember, he's Ena, and they are super telepathic, so he allows the entity to speak through him. It's a bit painful for him. He says, "Be gentle," but that happens so we can, the entity can talk. And it turns out that only in the entity's presence is Rukia cured of the disease that she's got. If she takes her away again, she'll get ill again and die. So it's to make this decision now. Is he prepared to lose his daughter? He can't stay there. I don't know why, but... But he's got to think of the crew, I suppose. So he's got to make the decision. Does he take his daughter away and watch her die? Or does he let her stay with the entity? And so she'll live. And it turns out if she stays with the entity, she'll live forever. So he says, it's her decision. He gives her the choice. And she decides she wants to stay with the entity because they are friends. So that's what happens. Hang on. So this is where by the way, I'm crying, by the way, watching this bit, because it's really well acted, and he's deciding, there we go, that he's got to let his daughter go after all this time. And obviously in the original series we didn't see Mabenga's daughter, did we? And this is why. So anyway, it's really sad, really well acted. And she says she loves him and all that. And anyway, the entity takes her away, envelops her in light. We'll see it in a minute. I'll get there. I'm useless. There we go. It envelops her in light, and she disappears. There she's gone. She's gone into the nebula, and so he's super sad. But then moments later, thinks he's lost his daughter forever. She's gone. I thought he was going to drop to his knees, but he didn't. Anyway, for God's sake. Anyway, moments later, there's another flash of light, and it's Rukia again, but she's grown up, and she says she's super happy. She's been on adventures with Deborah. She's given the nebular entity the name Deborah, which was her mother's name. But for her, it's been years. It's only been seconds for Dr. Mabenga, but for her it's been years, and she's been on adventures and stuff, and she's having a great time, and she's happy, so he can be happy, knowing that she's safe in the nebula, having a great time and having adventures. So, that wraps up that storyline, unless he's crying again, and I were crying, because I'm a big soft git. And there we go. And everybody gets put back to normal. There we go. But nobody remembers what happened, apart from Dr. Mabenga. Even Hemmer doesn't remember. He says, "What am I doing in your quarters?" And last thing he remembered, he was in engineering or something. So nobody has any memory of what happened. They know something happened, but they just know that they've lost 5 hours. So it were 5 hours that this thing were going on for. So I suppose he'll make a log, and I suppose he'll tell him that his daughter's gone and she's living a life in the nebula now as a non-corporeal entity, and that's about it really. We'll leave it at that. There we go. End of the episode. Dr. Mabenga's storyline comes to an end, as far as his daughter's concerned. So they've wrapped that up, haven't they? Pretty succinctly. But it was nice. I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. I don't normally like those sorts of episodes, like where they're getting dressed up in period clothing. I'm not a big fan of Cupid and the Next Generation episode and stuff. I'm not a big fan of them. But this were done well, and comedy episodes, are not really my thing. Because I'm miserable. Hang on, I'm trying to do things here. Get rid of Starfield, because we're on Star Trek now, so we need to go to warp. Oh, pardon me, I'm burping. There we go. Yeah, but I really liked this episode. I really liked it. I've liked every single episode so far of Star Trek Strange New Worlds, and this episode in particular might be my favourite, probably because I was crying at the end. But what can I say? I've only cried at 2 episodes of Star Trek, this one and the next Deep Space Nine episode, The Visitor. And so that just shows you. I really enjoyed it. I'd give this one a 9 out of 10. 9 out of 10 for this one. It was really good. But I suppose there'll be others in the YouTube world. I'll not be as generous as me, because I seem to be the only person in the universe that likes Star Trek Strange New Worlds. I'm really enjoying it. And we've only 2 episodes left. What they're called? Oh, I'm not on that anymore, am I? It says it on Wikipedia. Hang on, where are we? With 2 episodes left. Episode 9 is called All Those Who Wonder, and I had no idea what that's about. And episode 10 is called TBA. I know that means to be announced or whatever. I don't know what the last episode's called. But yeah, that episode, The Elysian Kingdom, was my favourite so far. And I didn't think it were going to be. Maybe it's because I had low expectations that I really enjoyed it. But yeah, it was really, really good. And I've not been a fan of Mabenga, to be honest, but his performance in this episode was excellent. In fact, they all did well in this episode. I've started to like Ortega. I didn't like her at the beginning because she had a bit of a smirk, but she's grown on me. Christine Chappell's grown on me because I think she's super sexy. I like La'an. I've liked La'an since the beginning, but in this episode she was really funny. I laughed out loud at her performance in this, and I laughed a little bit at Captain Pike playing the coward. He obviously does enjoy doing a bit of comedy. He did the pirate impression in the last episode. In this one, he's played a fool. So, but that was, it was okay. So yeah, so there we go. So that's that. Another good episode of Star Trek Strange New Worlds. 2 to go. Maybe they'll throw it all down the sink in the last 2 episodes, but I don't think they will. I think it'll carry on being good. And I bet the last episode has a proper cliffhanger, and I bet it introduces, I bet Cybox in it, and I bet, oh no, Kirk can't be in it, can he? Because he doesn't know Cybox, does he? I bet Cybox in the next episode. I've got a feeling, I'm sure I've seen somewhere that Cybox is coming back before the end of this season. I'm sure I've seen that somewhere, but I can't remember where. Or I could have dreamt it. That won't be the first time. Anyway, so we'll leave it there. So